Hello my YouTube friends! Most of my viewers come to my channel to learn how to live stream. It's the best way to grow your connection with your audience, and many of them use OBS to live stream. OBS has a pretty steep learning curve, so I strive to help make it easier to use. Now there are a lot of basics that you need to learn to install, update, and modify OBS. Especially if you have any kind of issue, knowing these things is super important to fixing them. So we are gonna do it all today. We got a lot to get to, so you know what? Let's get to it! So today I want to show you how to install OBS and do a basic setup. I also want to show you how to update OBS so it's always going to be as current and bug-free as possible. Last, I want to show you how to install plugins and, even more importantly, remove ones that could be outdated or causing other issues. First, let me show you how to install OBS. This is the web page where you're going to get your OBS, and you can see it has Windows, Mac, and Linux. We can just click on the version that we want. In our case, we're going to go with Windows, and it does go ahead and automatically start to download right up here in the top right. So if we go and we open up our downloads folder, you can see it right here, OBS 30 full installer. And if we double click on that, we're going to get an administrative prompt that you can't see, but you're just going to go ahead and click yes. And it brings this up right here. And then in order to install this, you're just going to click next and install through the whole thing. Now, there is going to come a point where you can install it to a different drive or directory if you like. If you are not super experienced with working with your system, I would recommend you just install it to the default location that it gives you, because it's also going to make it a lot easier for you to install plugins later. But all you have to do is click next, go through the whole thing, click install, and then at the end click finish. And once you do that, OBS will be fully installed on your system. It's really that simple. Easy, right? OBS is pretty bulletproof, but occasionally it does have a bug or two that could cause issues. One of the ways to fix these is by making sure that OBS is completely up to date. They are constantly patching the software to add features and fix any bugs that might pop up. So let me show you how to update your OBS. Now, to update the system, all you have to do is go up here to help, and then you want to go and check for updates. And it will tell you if there's no updates available. If there are updates available, then you can just click download and install, and it will download and install the update in the background, and all you'll have to do after that is just restart your OBS. It's really that simple. When you get comfortable using OBS, you may want to start expanding the features with cool plugins. There are hundreds of useful plugins that add stream automation, amazing visual effects, and more. Let me show you how plugins are installed. Here is the OBS plugins page, and you can see at the top they have some featured ones up here, and there are literally hundreds of these. You can go through their multiple pages of plugins, and they all install basically in the same way, but usually there are two different ways that you can install these, so I'll go through both with you. So let's go to the OBS shader filter here. This is generally a standard one, and if we go to downloads, it's going to take us to this sort of download page here. A lot of them do this, but some of them will actually have a little drop down right here when you click this that will just give you this information. So over here we have Mac OS version installs 1 and 2. One is universal, one is for older versions, and you have 3 different versions right here. Ubuntu, which is a Linux version of it. Then you have a Windows installer and a Windows zip file. So since I'm using Windows, I'm going to show you how to do that, but all of the rest of these will operate in a very similar way. So I'm going to go ahead and download the Windows installer. I'm also going to download the Windows zip file so I can show you the 2 different ways that most of these installs come. So let's go ahead into our download folder, and here is the install. So to do the install, all you have to do is double click on it. You're going to get an administrative prompt which you can't see. All you have to do is click yes, and then go ahead and click install, and it will put it on your system. It's very simple. If I click install, it's going to tell me that my OBS stuff is already running and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to be able to show you, but it's very simple. You will probably come up with it asking you where your OBS is. If you installed it to the standard location, then you're good to go. If not, you may have to change that location. Now the zip install is slightly different. It's a little more hands-on. So we'll select that. We're going to right click and we're going to extract our zip file to a folder. And there we go. So now we have our folder here, and you're going to notice that in this folder are two different folders, data and OBS plugins. So what we're going to do is select those two. We're going to right click and we're going to go to copy. Now all we have to do is find these folders in our OBS install. Now if your OBS install is in the standard location, it's going to be in C, Program Files, OBS-Studio. Now you'll see mine is not actually here. Mine is installed in a different location. So mine is located right here, and we see OBS-Studio right here. So if I go in there, we're automatically going to see those two folders, OBS plugins and data. The exact same two folders that we see in our zip file if we go back into our downloads. OBS plugins and data. So we copied this, and then we just go to where our OBS is installed, right here, OBS Studio, and we see data and OBS plugins. We just right click on there and we go to paste, and it's going to stick that plugin in there for us. And those are the two ways that you install OBS plugins. These plugins are written by other OBS users. It's what makes the OBS community so freaking awesome. Unfortunately, some of these could cause issues with other aspects of OBS in some different systems and setups. Now, if that happens, you may need to remove a plugin to make your system more stable. Let me show you how you can remove an installed plugin. The last thing I want to touch on is how to actually remove plugins. You may find from time to time something just isn't working right. Now these are removable in this way if you use the installer to actually install these things onto your system. If you didn't use the installer and you just pasted them into your data and plugin files, then in order to remove the plugins, what you'll have to do is go and download the plugin again, go into the folder, and actually look at the files that are installed. There usually are not very many of the files installed, so they are pretty simple to go and remove. But in this case, with the shader filter, there are pretty many. So it's much easier to remove it if you installed it than it is to remove it if you used the zip file to actually put it in there. So let's go over into our plugin section and let me show you how you can remove them if you installed them. So you see you've got all of these uninstalled dat with the uninstalls right here, but you can't tell what they are. There's no real description here. So you can hover over and it'll give you a little bit of information. You could see who actually created it and all that stuff. But if you just double click the install file, and you're going to get an administrative prompt and you just click yes, it's going to come up and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to completely remove the name of the plugin, waveform, and all of its components? And then you can say yes and it will just remove it. And you can do this with any of these plugins. So this one here is Source Record. So do I want to remove Source Record? So you can go through here, you can click these uninstalls and figure out which ones of these you may or may not want to remove, and then remove the ones that could be causing your problem. And if you do that, you're going to be able to clean up all of the plugins that you have that you don't really use or want, because believe it or not, eventually you're going to have plugins that you don't use or want, or you may actually have some that cause problems with other plugins or features in OBS. Now you understand how you can easily remove them, and it's why the best way to install these plugins is to use that install file instead of just using the zip file install. Now you are a master at maintaining your OBS install so it's as stable and bug-free as possible. If you want to see some of my favorite plugins, you should check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.